Welcome back to Jacques in the Garden, where my goal is to get you to grow food at home. And in today's episode, we are going to be harvesting onions, transplanting in new seedlings, and also I wanted to give you guys some updates on some of the projects that I've been working on in previous videos, including what plants look like now that it's been some period of time since I've transplanted them. But before we get into all those updates, let's get into these onions, because their necks have flopped, which means that they're actually ready to harvest. Before I go ahead and harvest all these onions, I do want to hype you up a little bit on growing onions at home, because they're an incredible crop that A, tastes absolutely amazing when grown at home. You'll never have a sweeter onion than one you get from your garden. But B, they also take up almost no work and zero space. A single 4x4 bed can easily hold like 100 onions. And you'll see that in a minute here, because one of my 4x4 beds is indeed planted with over 100 onions. Now, beyond that, they're a set and forget crop. You plant them in the fall or the spring or winter, depending on wherever you are, and then you just sit back and wait until the neck flops, as I mentioned. Now, if you don't know, when an onion is actively growing, this is what it looks like. It has the green top where all the photosynthesis happens. That energy gets straight down into the roots where it swells and forms a bulb, and that is the onion that we like to eat. But the cool thing about onions is that you can actually harvest and eat an onion at any point in its life stage as soon as that seedling emerges from the soil. When it's nice and young and doesn't have a bulb, it's just a green onion. And if it gets a small bulb, like in the springtime, you get a spring onion, which is a sweet, delicious little treat. But then once that neck flops, you get your real proper storage onion. And that's because when the neck flops, that's a signal that the plant is no longer getting photosynthesis energy and sending it into the bulb. It has reached its maximum size. But what about storage onions? You don't just grab an onion from the field and expect it to last forever, right? No, because you have to cure it first. Now, like I said, I could just eat this now and enjoy this delicious onion, but if I cure it, it'll allow my onion to last for months inside my home in the pantry instead of just rotting away before I get a chance to enjoy them. So what we're going to do today is harvest all these onions. I'll do a very, very quick tutorial on how I set them up to cure, and then we'll talk about what we want to plant here next. But for now, what we need to do is find all the onions that have flopped necks, which is every onion in this bed, and give them a pull. Now, it's tempting to grab them by the neck, but I don't recommend you do that. There's a good chance you'll actually rip the neck off early, leading to a less storage potential in your onion. So just grab the onion right around the base and then give it a nice pull, and you should be able to easily get these onions up and out of the ground. So I'm gonna go grab a gorilla cart, we'll load it up with onions, and then I'll show you the curing process. So here is the biggest onion of the year. Not as big as I've had before. This year I planted my onions a little bit late, which definitely made them smaller, but honestly, onions this big are hard to go through in a single cooking. So I don't mind that they're a little bit smaller this year. Like, look at this onion here. That is a respectable size, a normal onion for cooking. This guy, that's a monster. So we've got the cart full of the yellow onions, but now it's time to harvest these reds and whites. Now these were actually left in here a little bit too long, especially the white onions. You could see that their tops have mostly entirely dried out, and they are actually pretty small. That's because, like I mentioned, I put about 100 in this one 4x4 bed. So by having less space, they simply don't get as big. But again, that's fine with me because this is more than enough white onion for me to use in a single meal. I just don't go through them as quickly as I do with the yellow onions, which I use in just about everything. So we're gonna go ahead and pull all these reds and whites as well, but they're really tightly in here, and there's probably going to be at least 80 onions once we're done. So I do want to point out just how tight I've planted these, and actually you could see right here, they're basically all hitting each other, which is why their size is limited. When there isn't enough space for them to get into more area, they just limit their size and then they stop growing. So most of the onions should end up around this size because that is roughly how I planted them throughout this whole bed. Some, of course, will be smaller, and some of them will, of course, be bigger. It looks like a yellow onion actually got in here. Now that is an incredible amount of harvest from a single 4x4 bed. It's one of the things that always amazes me about raised bed gardening is just how dense you could plant things and how fruitful your harvest can be. So we're gonna move all these into the gorilla cart, then we're gonna grab the last of the yellow onions, but I wanna give you a quick update on the hugelkultur mounds so you could see how big the eggplant has already got where I once had my wheat growing. So here's the beautiful hugelkultur bed that was planted with eggplant, cosmos, zinnias, and marigolds. The marigolds have actually been extremely vigorous, as have the eggplant. They've actually put on a lot of growth. I already have a nice young Ania one here. This is the one that has the stripes on it, which is absolutely beautiful. Over here I have a classic mortar styled black eggplant, which is also formed and looks wonderful. Now there's fruits and flowers on every single one of these plants, so I'm very happy with the transplant. It looks like they are thriving in this hugelkultur mound, and the flowers, they're frankly exploding. Now we do have to grab the last of the yellow onions out of that bed right back there, where you see those tall leeks. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab those, and then we'll move on to the shade area. I'll show you how to cure them, and then we'll get some of these beds replanted. And there we go, guys, another bundle of perfect, beautiful yellow onions. So let's get these to the cure. All right, guys, this is where I do all of my curing under the shade of this mulberry tree. Essentially, for any type of curing, you want no direct sunlight and plenty of airflow, which is why I have this wire rack table here that I just kind of DIY'd out of a simple piece of fencing and some random boards I had. Now, before we get into this onion curing, which is a very simple process, I want to give you guys an update on my garlic, because today I actually went through and processed and cleaned every single bulb. Now, in the end, I didn't get as much garlic as I actually wanted, which is about 300 good heads. Instead, I have about 180-ish to 200 really good heads. So these are all well-sized, they formed really nicely, they had really good papers on it. I mean, the size of some of these garlics here it's staggering. I mean, look at it inside my hand. That is an absolutely giant head of garlic. Now from the store, if I get something like this size, I'm generally extremely excited, and you can see just how big of a difference there is. Now, you might be wondering why things are sorted in the way that they are. Over here, these are the small heads. These are the ones that either got out-competed, maybe they were planted in too shady of an area, and they're all really quite small. Like this is one of the biggest ones in the small collection compared to this one right here. So these are the ones that will be used first because they tend to be small, and some of them have actually split apart, so they're just simply not going to store for a long time. Now these two trays are soft neck garlic, and soft neck garlic is great because it can store for up to a year. Usually 9 months to 12 months is about the storage life of a soft neck garlic, but the downside is that you get way more cloves of garlic within there. So this might have like 20 to 24 individual little cloves of garlic, whereas any one of these hard necks will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6, maybe 8 gigantic cloves of garlic, which are much easier to process, and hardneck garlic tends to have a richer, sort of spicier flavor, which I definitely appreciate. So if I'm thinking about what to eat next after the small ones, it's definitely going to be the hardneck garlic, because due to the fact that it has a hard neck, it doesn't seal properly, which means that it only lasts for like 4 to 6 months. So hardneck will be consumed second after the small ones, and then hopefully all of this wonderful soft neck garlic should be able to last past that, and we'll eat that last. So that is the order of operations. All of these have been cleaned up. They could be brought into the home into a well-ventilated, dark area. That way they will last as long as possible. So that's it on the garlic. Now let's talk about how to set up all these beautiful onions so they could also last in our pantry. So as you can see, this drying table is still covered in little bits of garlic leaf that were left over from that curing process, but now we can move on to the onions. Now with onions, it's even easier than the garlic because they tend to be larger. So using something like welded wire fence, essentially attached to a topless table, it's just a couple pieces of wood screwed together, definitely not structural. What I like to do then is take the neck of the onion, I'll push it through the top of the table like so, and have the roots facing up. And this way, what we're doing is we're just holding the onions in an upright position with enough space between them that the air is able to flow all around the roots and the actual green parts from below, and this will help dry out your onions as fast as possible. Now, what some other people will do is they'll take a handful of onions, something like this, they'll tie these together in a little bundle like so, and then they'll hang each individual bundle. That might be a good solution if you don't have that many onions. Like me, I have too many, so I'm not going to be tying them up into bunches. I'm gonna lay them all out on this table as best I can. If I don't have any space there, I'll lay them out on some other sort of mesh sifting things that I have all around the garden, just to give them some time to dry. Now this process can take a couple weeks. It really depends on the weather, but what you want to do is just touch the roots. They should feel absolutely bone dry, like almost like a dry bristle brush. The neck itself, you'll want to go up to the top and pinch it. If you can slip your fingers back and forth while massaging the neck, it's probably still wet. Once it's dry, you'll feel like there's nothing there, and that is when the onion is good to go. So there's your quick little curing lesson. If you want to watch a whole video on it, I do have that on my channel as well. But now let's see what there is to plant in the garden because we just made a bunch of new space. Now I have to admit, at this point I have an insane amount of seedlings, so we're gonna have to go to 3 different places to see them all. First, here I have a bunch of peppers. These are all absolutely lovely looking. They could definitely go into, like, say, that onion bed. I think the raised bed would do really well with these. I also have a bunch of Martian Jewels corn here. Now these are transplants, as you could tell. They're quite tall, very, very vigorous at this point. And now most people don't like to transplant corn, and I understand why. It tends to do better when it's direct seeded. But if you do transplant, you have perfect control of your spacing and your timing. And my only tip when transplanting corn is to bury it a little bit deeper. Like if I were to actually plant these, I'm not gonna plant it right here at the soil level. I'll probably plant it like this deep, and that's going to help stabilize the corn because transplanted corn tends to be a little bit more wobbly. So we probably won't do the corn in any of the beds here, but now let's pop into the greenhouse and see what's going on in there. Now inside the greenhouse, we also have some options here. I've got a half tray of tomatoes. Those are not going in today. These are to replace some of the tomatoes in the garden that are already getting well over 6 feet tall and are ready to get cycled in with some different varieties. I also have a bunch of zinnias, marigolds, some actual herbs as well, like dill. And then down here, I've got some okra, some beans, lettuce, basil. I've got a whole bunch of summer squash and cucumbers here. So a lot of different options, but most of these are maybe a little bit too early to transplant. There is one more selection of plants out there that I want to show you guys, but I think we'll probably go for peppers into the raised bed. And here is a quick update on the container tomatoes. As you can see, they're looking quite good in my opinion. I have my temporary movable trellis set up with the net trellis option. And actually, down here, what do I got? I got 2 little guys ready to harvest, looking pretty dang good. So overall, it's looking good. They're looking healthy, no signs of major disease. So we'll see how these guys do through the whole season. But I have a feeling they're gonna reach the top of this trellis pretty dang quick. Before we replant this bed, I do need to amend it, add some more soil. It has settled a bit. And now the only reason I'm doing this is because I grew onions so densely in here that they had to have pulled a lot of nutrition out of the soil in that growing process because I had essentially every single square inch covered in plant. So what we're going to do is first add some fertilizer. Now I also want to note that I am not actually removing any mulch. I'm leaving it all in place so it could break down in the soil and build some organic matter. So we're not worried about that at all. Instead, I'm just going to scatter some fert all across the surface and then we'll top it off with some new raised bed soil. Before I add the soil, I want to mention the fact that I did not blend this fertilizer into the soil, and that is because I'm adding new soil on top. Now, if this was the case where I was not adding additional soil above this, I would definitely mix this in because you never want your fertilizer sitting on the surface. You want to make sure it's incorporated in your soil so it stays in your soil and doesn't run off or fly away, or maybe even get consumed by something like a skunk, which definitely likes to eat fertilizer in my experience. So in this case, since we're adding new soil on top, I don't need to blend it. I'm just going to cover it with this new raised bed base. Looks like I'll probably need another half bag of soil on the other side. And you know what? It's time for the nasturtium to go. It's had its life. You know, I gotta say, as much as I love the nasturtium, it's starting to get a little old for me having to pull them out constantly because they are so happy here in San Diego that they basically never stop growing. So in the end, I think this will be essentially a purely Bulgarian pepper bed with some flowers mixed in. Now for spacing, I have this beautiful raised bed with wonderful soil. We just added a bunch of fertility. So I want to give these peppers a little bit more space. I'm going to go with 16 inches apart, and we're going to just load this bad boy up and see how gigantic these peppers can get. So I already have my tape measure out. What I'm going to do is just pull a hole about 6 inches from the edge of the bed, and then from there go 16 inches in, and then 16 inches to the other side, which should bring me about 6 inches from the other side of the bed. Now what I did here is I just grabbed that zinnia as deep as I could. I'm going to move it into a more convenient location, like actually over here on this edge of the bed. Because what I did is I split the difference between that front row to give them even more space to grow. I want to make sure this grows out and away from the bed. So there we go, we've got this bed planted out a lot less tight than I'm usually known for doing. I tend to really cram things in here, but I am experimenting very little bit with restraint. I don't want to crowd things too much. I want to give them the space that they need. So while I might sneak in a couple little gem lettuces in like some of these more empty spaces later on, for now, this bed is planted and that's it for today. It's starting to get dark. I've got a lot of onions to set up to cure. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and good luck in the garden.